Karen Gros, and I'm teaching a culinary demonstration class today. And we're doing our spring menu. We're featuring asparagus from the garden. So we're doing two different kinds of tarts, asparagus tarts, and then we're having our chicken salad, which is with homemade mayonnaise, homemade creme fraiche, fresh tarragon, and we're going to turn it into sort of a Mediterranean flair with olives and pine nuts. This is the little portion chicken. So this is free-range, all-natural, no hormone. I mean, it's the best chicken in the world. You know, I just brought it to a brief boil with water, like you were going to make chicken soup, and then lowered the fire and cooked it for about 45 minutes. So this is a pâte brisée. It's just a typical pie dough. So we've got unbleached white flour, a little bit of salt, a little bit of sugar. Butter I have for this, I've already pre-chopped it, and I have it frozen. On a day like this, it can warm up too quickly. So we have a full stick of butter. Okay, so I've already got the flour, the salt, and the sugar in here. I'm just going to pulse to mix. And then we'll add the butter.
It's frozen hard?
Mm-hmm. Well, I chopped it up and put it in the freezer last night, so it's been in the freezer for about 12 hours. Okay. So just let this run. You want to let it turn into a course meal. So I'm just going to drip in 1 to 2 tablespoons. It's humid today, so we may not need, much. And at this point, I don't want to run continuously or it will get tough. Just until it starts to come together. And you can see in the bottom, it's coming together. So that's enough water. Pulsing the mix. It's nice and chilled still. Granite surface, somehow it keeps the dough the right consistency. You can always just add a little bit of flour back if you need to. So when it has the right moisture, you'll see it almost looks and feels like pizza dough. So you can bake this in a pie pan or a tart pan. Today we're going to be using Le Cruzet's pizza stone, which I like for a tart pan because it makes it really thin and it also just makes it crispier. Okay, so I'm just going to check and make sure that it's, and sometimes it'll be cockeyed, and you can just correct as you put it in, but see how it's starting to get warm, and it would get sticky if I kept working with it, so I don't want to have to keep adding flour. Okay. So we'll just go ahead and shake the edges now, and then put it in the freezer. Being scared of yeast.
Why did I put it in the freezer?
To chill it either in the freezer or in the refrigerator because the butter has gotten warm now, and what's nice is that when you chill it, the butter will re-solidify, and then that way if you go straight from the freezer or fridge into a preheated oven, that solidified butter, it will start to cook and set, and then that will just evaporate and it'll create a flakier crust. So it's not going to be like shortening. The flavor's better than shortening, but this will get it as close to flaky as you can get with butter. It makes a big difference in the texture. We're doing two versions. We're doing one with a pâte brisée with a pureed asparagus, and then we're going to be sautéing some spears that we'll put in a spoke-like fashion on top. And then we're doing the one that you saw in the picture, which is with puff pastry and the asparagus from the garden, which is nice and tender. And we're going to sauté it just briefly, and then we'll put a little Parmesan, and then we'll bake it, and it'll get nice and puffy. And we'll eat that at the last minute, and we'll drizzle all that with hollandaise sauce. So we'll also be doing hollandaise sauce. We've got 3 big, sauces: mayonnaise, creme fraiche, and homemade hollandaise. I use the whites and the greens. Add the stalks in now. we'll go ahead and get our tart baked. Okay, so try to keep the cheese from moving. And then we'll just lay these in, and you can do these anyway.
And then you chicken.
Oh yes.
Oh, that's pretty.
Well, if you go to Branson, I mean, well, I go to
Oh, that
Osa,
looks so good.
which is above Branson.
Yeah,
and
you're
you're
talking about chocolate.
No,
I don't
it's
know
just-
about that.
Yeah, it's sort of
Well,
a
Brandon, I don't have as many asparagus here as I should, but
They do have a
Sandstone
Sandstone
yard.
color.
Huh?
How do
They do shows, they do on the road shows.
yeah.
June,
Charles
that's
is
right,
going.
Paris in June.
Charles is going to.
Oh, is it
Charles is
really?
the thing that's key about mayonnaise. There are two secrets. One is that everything has to be at the same temperature, room temperature. And the other is that you have to add the oil slowly. So I'm going to go on high, so I'm on high speed. And I'm just going very thin stream at first. Being room temperature. So that's about a teaspoon. That's starting to thicken. It looks like buttercream. Okay. So now it's pretty set, so I'm going to add a little bit more liberally. This is about a tablespoon at a time. Okay, so we know that's going to work. So you can see it's pretty thick now, and I'll go around and show you all.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just
Oh, wow.
incorporating the rest of that oil.
That's amazing.
The only thing we're going to add to it is a little bit of lemon juice, which acts as a preservative and a stabilizer. We're going to be adding together some of the things that go into the chicken salad. So we have the chopped celery. We have a nice cup of chopped celery. We've got roasted red peppers, and those I did in advance because this isn't a class on peppers, but I did provide in the recipe how to roast the pepper. So we have peppers, the chicken salad. The pine nuts I went ahead and toasted in advance, and I wrote in there how. It's just 350 oven, 5 minutes. They tend to, like almonds, they will get bitter if you over brown them. So better to under brown than over. So we've got, thank you, got the pine nuts. So we'll toss all this together, and then we'll cream the mayonnaise and creme fraiche together. We might even chop the olives just a little bit. So we'll use about half of these olives, about a quarter cup, just for a little flavor and color. And they say that you should, for each egg yolk, you can force in about 2 ounces of butter, not more. And so we're going to be having 3 yolks, and we're going to use 2 sticks of butter. And the hollandaise differs from the béarnaise only in strength and aroma. And the thing is, hollandaise doesn't hold very well, so you definitely can't do this in advance. So we're going to stir this constantly over the heat. We'll get the butter ready, and then we'll be adding it tablespoon at a time. So it's gotten foamy now, and it's thickening up. So
Yeah, I think
it's getting nice and thick.
Blender will
just
cut it up.
and quickly. So quick and
Yeah, I'm gonna. That's nice. We'll add a little bit more lemon at the end.
Might be able to get somebody.
Yeah, we and that's just,
I'll go, but as long as it's in July.
Okay, so now I'm mixing just the sour cream and the mayonnaise before I mix it all. So we're going to plate up the chicken salad. So if you have butter lettuce, a nice cut leaf of butter lettuce would be nice. Okay, so that's that.
That's just talking about it, how pretty it looks.
A lot of great things we need to share with people. We need to get people back in the kitchen and keep cooking skills alive. And I think we all know the importance of that.